Shalom, Zion. Let's continue with this lesson on you must be born again. Nicodemus came by night. He's a leader, a ruler of the Yehudim, of Yisrael, and he wants to understand where the authority and power comes from with our Messiah, with our HaMashiach. And of course, when you read the text, the Messiah turns to him and says, verily, verily, I say unto you, except the man be born again. And I talked about on the last video how the birth, the process, birth is a process. Being born is a process. And so I want to pick it up right there. Because he says, unless you're born again, you can't see. So what was, or see the kingdom. So what was he saying, Zion? And I'm going to give it to you. It's in the text. Nicodemus answered and said unto him, verse 9, how can these things be? That you got to be born again. He said, how can this be? Because at first he said, can a man go a second time into his mother's womb? Because he only could see from the first birth. Now he's like, how can these things be? Verse 9. Verse 10. Yeshua answered and said unto him, art thou a master of Yisrael, and knoweth not these things? How did you get where you are and you don't know this? I mean, you don't know this. How did you rise in the ranks to a leader of Yah's people and you don't understand the water of the word and the ruach, or the breath of Yah? I don't understand. I don't know how you got to that place. I don't know how you got to be a ruler of Yisrael and not know about the HaMashiach, not know about the time that I'm supposed to be here. How do you not know me and you're ruling the kingdom of Yah? You are a ruler in the kingdom. And this is what he says. He says, you don't know nothing. That, Zion, is a hard pill to swallow. He tells, in essence, what he tells Nicodemus is, you got to start all over. Because you don't know anything. And here is another hurdle that's hard for a lot of our people to jump. This idea that you've been in church your whole life, I mean, or majority part, and you thought you was learning, and you thought you were growing, and some of y'all became a deacon and an elder and even a pastor, and then someone presents information, biblical information to you that you should know. You have no clue about it. And you know in the bottom of your heart, just like the people know, you don't know nothing. That is a sobering reality. And no one wants to admit it. And you don't know nothing. You have to start all over from the beginning. It's like, oh no, I ain't gonna do that, man. I've been in the church my whole life, man. I ain't finna start all over, man. Y'all can do that, man. Y'all taking this thing too far, man. Oh, no. What happened is, you don't know the Bible. You don't know what it's about. You don't know the who, the what, the where, the when, the how. You don't know anything. You gotta start over. And I'm gonna tell you, that's the problem with pastors. That's the problem with leaders and teachers and deacons and mama's boards and youth directors. It's very, very difficult for a person to have to admit, I don't know anything. But that's what the Messiah is really saying. You need to be born again. You need to start from scratch. You need to go back being a baby. You got to go through the whole process. And you got to start learning from Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, and you need to go back through the whole Bible, and this time with understanding, because you don't understand anything. Something simple like you don't understand the Shabbat. When the Shabbat is in Genesis. The Shabbat was given before we got a written law. You don't know that Yah has the final say in Scripture. Not the Apostle Paul. Yah has the final say. And I'm not saying Paul is contradicting. I'm saying if anybody teaches anything other than what Yah has taught, that's why the Messiah said, my doctrine ain't mine. Don't think it's mine. Hey, this ain't my doctrine. When the Messiah got here, he said, I only speak what I heard my Father. So when you start thinking in terms of you got an Old Testament God, then you got New Testament Jesus as your God, and then you got the Holy Ghost as a God, and then you got Paul giving you the final instructions and all that, it's because you don't know nothing. You got to be born again. When you're not born again, you only see man's world. That's why you see Christmas and you think it's cool. You see Easter, you think it's cool. You think Easter eggs and bunnies and Halloween makeup and Cupid dolls and all that. You think, oh, that's acceptable in your worship and in your walk with the Most High. You don't know nothing. You don't know anything. And it's hard to come to grips with that, to say, what do you mean? Look, you don't know the 12 disciples. You don't know the 12 tribes of Israel. You can't quote the 10 commandments. You don't really know anything. You've just been in religion. You don't know about the prophet that Moshe prophesied that would come. You don't know about the fact that he was born of Yah. You don't know anything. And it's very difficult to be grown and somebody tell you don't know nothing. And then you say, all right, then, well, explain to me. And then they go, oh, well, you need to start all over from birth. You got to start from scratch, baby. You got to go back to the very beginning. Because what you asking me now, you should already know this, but you don't. So go back and read it. So he starts to talk to Nicodemus about the wind. He starts to talk to him about the way the Spirit moves. He starts to talk to him. He says, man, if I was talking to you about earthly things, verse 12, he said, you would believe, if I have told you earthly things and you believe not, how shall you believe if I tell you heavenly things? Man, you ain't grasped the simple things yet. He says, no man has ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man, which is in heaven. He was like, you don't know me. You got to start all over from the beginning. You got to be born again. And then he brought up Moshe, and he said, remember when Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness? And if you read that in the book of Numbers, and some of y'all don't even know that's in Numbers, but anyways, if you go back and read that story, you see that Yeshua is connecting himself with the healing of the nation. That he would be Yah's cure for a nation that has been poisoned by paganism, and poisoned by the nations around them, so that they're now accepting that which is against Yah and fighting that which is for Yah. It's so bad now. We got people saying, if you try to keep the commandments, it's like you following the devil. You see how satanic and sick that is? Can't see. And it's not that many people willing to start all over from scratch. You know, I was pastor and I did it. I had to start all over. I said, you know what? I gotta go Genesis 1. And I'm gonna read Genesis 1:1, 1:2, 1:3, and I'm gonna keep going until I get to Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and Kings, 1st and Chronicles, then Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Job, Psalm, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Psalm of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentation, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Rebecca, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Micah, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, Philippians. You get the point. And I didn't stop until I got to the Revelation. Read every word again and was like, whoa, whoa. We the children of Israel. We've been scattered to the four corners of the earth. Whoa, we were the ones on the slave ships. We were the ones that have been mistreated, that lost our name. We were the ones who lost our identity, and we lost our connection with the Most High Yah. And we were the ones that became bywords and proverbs, bywords and yeah. We that was us. It was us. It was like, whoa, wait. And then there was a conspiracy, and you see how everybody works against us and how we'll be following other. It's like you find out the book is our book, and it's like, start all over from the beginning and read with understanding. You're like, oh my goodness, that's us. Yep. Then you start reading, Yah's word is final. And the commandments, we're in a covenant with Yah for life. It's a blood covenant. That's why we ended up in the situation we're in now, breaking the law, statutes, and commandments. You start reading from the beginning. And don't let people tell you where to start and what not to read and what don't apply and all that. Stop that. You got to be born again means you need to start from day one. Learn how to drink some milk first. Day one, learn your first word, Abba. Learn how to call him. Learn how to pray again. You got to start all over. And that's what he was telling Nicodemus. He said, if you don't start all over, man, you never going to see it. Because if you can't see me and I'm from above, ain't no way in the world you're going to see the rest of the kingdom. Because the king is in your face. He said, and you're going to know when I'm lifted up. For Yah so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him would not perish, but have everlasting life. He said, Nicodemus, I'm talking to you now, and I know I'm above your pay grade. I know I'm over your head. A lot of people don't even understand why Hamashiach came. They think he came to get rid of the law. Even though he said, I didn't come to destroy the law. Matthew chapter 5, verse 17. He says it as plain as day, and yet people still believe he came to get rid of y'all's laws. No, he came to bring us back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. But you got to start all over from the beginning, or you ain't going to never see it. And a lot of people are not willing to do that. But some people are. And that's my devotion. This is part 3, Zion. I appreciate you all. I pray that something has been said to encourage you and to be grateful if Yah's Ruach